Good morning, Susie. Welcome around the Workstand
Daily.
daily.
It's
Most
Monday.
dailies. Most dailies.
Yes, most dailies.
Most dailies.
Don't get too excited.
For instance, while we're talking about that, tomorrow, probably not, since we do the podcast tomorrow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we'll skip a daily because at that time, this time, we'll be recording the podcast, which will be posted not long after that.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't do two of these things in a day. That's just unreasonable.
Yes. Yes. Well, if we're going to get anything else done, I guess.
Yes, unfortunately I do have a number of other things I have to accomplish in the day.
Yep. So speaking of today and daily,
hmm
what are we talking about today?
We're talking about drop shipping.
Drop shipping, what we call
Yeah.
supplier fulfillment
Yes.
internally. Which makes sense because last week, I think the last thing we talked about last week was supplier sync, which is certainly required. Got to
hmm
have supplier sync active. You have to be on the pro level. So this here supplier sync, these suppliers have to be active. And five in the US do fulfillment, the drop shipping. Let's see if I can remember them: HLC, JMB, QBP, Trek, and Specialized. And then in Canada, it's Live to Play Sports and HLC. I think correct. Is that correct?
hmm
Yep. So what we'll do is we'll look at an example, and what this means is from your Workstand website, if you get an order and you're set up with one of these suppliers that does the drop ship, what we call supplier fulfillment, then you can click a button in the order and send that order to the supplier to pick, pack, and ship on your behalf.
Yeah.
And maybe we start because it requires approval from the supplier before
Yes.
anything gets started, right?
hmm
So
Yeah.
do you want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think in general, one of the setting requirements, I'm sort of jumping back and forth, I think, but when you need a valid dealer slash location ID for each supplier.
Right.
Yep.
Let's
And
look at that.
then you do have to get approval from your supplier. Um,
So
it's
like
a,
this.
yes, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to have that in there. So make sure that's in there. And obviously have supplier sync enabled. And then it's different for each supplier as to how they want you to go about getting approval. The best resource for you is going to be the Help Center. Thank you for taking us on the tour, Mark.
You're welcome.
Um, yeah, so we have a number of forms. We have another link there. So we either link to a form that you submit that then our CS team will kind of, or our client success team, I'm so sorry, will facilitate a conversation with the brand or supplier. Got that going. And then kind of communicate back and forth and help you get set up. And then otherwise, some of those links will send you directly to the supplier. So I believe QBP is like that. And you can submit something on their website that will take you through that approval process.
Let's see if I can find my way back there.
Does that?
You said QBP. QBP.
Yeah.
Yep. So this gives you those how to request approval from QBP.
hmm Yeah.
So you
So nothing too,
gotta go log into your QBP account.
yeah. So nothing too crazy, but just follow those links and they'll kind of walk through the process. And then of course, we'll be a resource for you. Our success team will be a resource to you along the way.
Yeah, because it doesn't cost anything to add that to your professional level account with us, but we don't
Nope.
put it on there until you ask for it. So just to make sure we keep the process going and only set up approved dealers, we just don't add that. So that whole process, you start with the form or by the talking directly to the supplier. That'll end up with our team putting that on your account and helping you get
Yeah.
it configured.
Mhm.
And there's other considerations too, if, around how you do shipping and different little best practice things. They can help walk you through that too. What I wanted to do though is now is show what an order looks like and how you would do that. So this young fella went and bought something on this website,
Hmm.
and as the website manager who's going to take care of the order, I can come look at that order and do my normal thing. Does the email make sense? The address is what I want to see. Usual, make sure we get paid. They trust me, which was probably bad on their part. And when we get down to the items, you can see that, and you will have seen this whether you've got fulfillment or not. Whenever there's an order, if that item's available in the store, then you see the store SKU here. This one's not, so you see the UPC, and you see which suppliers and which warehouses have the item and how many they show to have. When that's the case, when a supplier fulfillment supplier has the item and has quantity in stock in the warehouses, then you have the option, and it's always your option as the retailer, because maybe you made a mistake and you bought 12 of these and they're sitting in the store. Well, you don't want to let the supplier fulfill it. You want to move the inventory that you have in stock. So you do it yourself with store fulfillment. But let's say you don't have any of these and J&B has it and the customer ordered it for delivery to their house. In that case, you can click request supplier fulfillment and you'll see this little window pop up. And if there's multiple items, then you'll see multiple items here and you can choose to fulfill all of them or some of them or none of them. So if I check that box and if I was to click this box, I'm not really sure what happens on this test site if I click that, so I'm not going to click it. But if I did click it, it would send that order to J&B for fulfillment, and they would pick, pack, and ship it on your behalf. Your customer doesn't really know or probably care that there's a supplier in the background doing some of the legwork for you, but they are. All the customer knows is they found this thing they wanted, they bought it from their favorite bike shop, and that thing showed up at their house.
Yeah. And for that customer, whether they bought something for in-store pickup or, going this route for an item that's going to ship, a lot of the process is going to look the same for them. They're going to get an
Mhm.
order confirmation, email, and all that good stuff.
Yep.
What about what else? Is there any other do they get like a notification when it ships or anything like that?
Well, so when the supplier fulfills the order, then I'm pretty sure all of the suppliers do this. These fulfillment details get populated. And so it'll show that it was shipped, the date and the time, a status, and a tracking number. And
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they all provide the tracking numbers. But as long as they do, they show up here. Your customer doesn't see this. This is in your order. And so just like if you were fulfilling the order from the store, you would do whatever you want to do to let them know that's been sent by default. Now there is a setting. Let's go see. There is a setting one can turn on, and I don't remember where it is. I should have looked at this before.
Oh, I just had it open and
Is it in order notifications?
where it
It's in order
setting, yep.
notifications. So in order, let's slow down and go back to that because I was just flipping through
Sorry.
blindly looking for things. If you go to notifications and settings and scroll to the bottom, this
Yeah.
little box here. So if you enable this as it is here, then when the supplier marks that as fulfilled, it will send your customer a note that says your order's been fulfilled. Here's your tracking number. Thanks. So that's a handy little thing.
Mhm.
I don't believe it does that by default. So you want to go check that if you want it to do that. Now, there's maybe you don't want to do that. You want to maintain all that communication with your client, that your customer. If so, that's great. Just uncheck that guy so that it won't send that. So that's the drop ship piece in a nutshell. It
Mhm.
is an excellent tool to have. There's no cost from us to add that to your professional level site. As we mentioned, each of the suppliers has their own setup on what they charge for that. And they do charge for that. They'll charge a nominal fee to process each order, not each
Mhm.
line item on the order, just the order itself. They'll charge you whatever the shipping is, and of course, bill you for whatever that product is. All those products will stand on their own. So they don't count towards your free freight levels or anything like that. They all stand on their own. But it really does streamline how quickly you can get an order out to a consumer. And meeting those expectations is tough these days. So this really makes it a lot easier. And
Mhm.
if you get quite advanced with this, our ads team, our Google Ads paid team, also will run campaigns around products that can be fulfilled from suppliers. So if you've got product in a warehouse that you got good margin on, then you can actually set up shopping campaigns and get more of those sales and route those sales to the supplier to pick, pack, and ship for you. What do we miss?
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Oh, what happens if someone tries to? If it's something that can't ship or
Well, if it can't ship, period,
it
it
won't
shouldn't it
ship,
shouldn't be
an
available for
option.
ground shipping anyway. So you could pick up in store is an option. If it's a product, and there are brands, that's a good point. There are brands that don't allow their products to be included in the drop ship programs. I
Maybe
can't
that's what
think
I was trying to get at.
I can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but I bet you we can find. Doo-doo-doo-doo. I'll put it in the notes because I don't
Mhm.
want to torture
Just
everybody by me looking for it. But I believe there is. I
watch
believe
us scroll.
there is a page we have in the help center. I believe that's got all the different brands. There's not that many of them that don't allow that, but the system doesn't know. Like we don't have it configured to where it can just tell one of those is on an order and stop it from being in fulfillment because there might be multiple products on an order. Some of them can be fulfilled, some of those brands can't be. So we don't really have the logic that deep. So basically, if you try and submit one of these, it would just get canceled. So it won't hurt anything. If you're managing your orders correctly, you'll notice it gets canceled real quick and realize the error of your ways. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean you can't ship it sometimes. It just sometimes means the brand doesn't want to be involved in the drop ship programs.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think
So
we
use it.
yeah, use it. I think just like, I think kinda point what to send home, just like Supplier Sync is you have control over all these pieces, whether you want to submit that order for fulfillment from your supplier or brand, you know, what kind of messaging the customer sees when they submit an order. It's still your customer, your sale, mm,
Your
all good
customer
things.
relationship in the long run, which is what we
Yeah.
like. We like to have it
Yes.
orders come through bike shops so that you
Yes.
have that relationship is yours to grow and cultivate over time.
Yeah.
Good. Well, if anybody happens to watch these live, be sure to leave us a little comment. Let us know what you're
Mhm.
thinking and what topics you would like us to cover on the daily. Otherwise, Susie and I'll just keep doing what we think is best.
Yeah.
And we won't have the stream tomorrow. And for what it's worth, tomorrow normally is the podcast that Ryan's on with us, and he's at CABDA. So if you're at CABDA
Mhm.
hanging out, you can meet Ryan and Brian. They'll both be there.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all. We'll see you soon.
See you. Stream finished.
Sorry, I threw us for a loop